So this video misses the mark by about a month, but who cares? There's no wrong time for Christmas Thomas episodes, is there? Now usually in these Thoughts On videos, I like to cover more broad subjects because there's a lot more to talk about and more examples I can draw from. But I felt that Diesel's Ghostly Christmas was subject enough to talk about in its own video. It's the first exclusively double-length episode of the entire series, a literal part 1, part 2 episode, essentially a mini-movie. That alone is a magnificent first for the Thomas franchise, and pretty much encaptures season 19 in a nutshell. It's a season that uses a lot of cliché story concepts and has transformed them into something really new and inventive for the series.
Hello, this is Jeffrey. Sorry I can't come out, sir, but I'm very, very shy.
Season 19 was chock full of fresh takes and firsts in the Thomas franchise, and that's just glorious to experience as a longtime fan. It's amazing that a series as old as this, and in its 19th season, still has creative, passionate minds behind it that really push their artistic visions. Not only does it make the series a lot more fun to watch, but it makes it more engaging and seem a lot bigger than it really is. Thomas isn't just a show, it's a universe. It's a series that has stood the test of time with a huge following and a lot of people behind it that are really passionate about what they do. And as the series gets older, it will inevitably use old story ideas that have worked before. We're at that point now. But to ensure that the series really does stay timeless, it needs to reinvent those old story ideas and transform them into something fresh and original. And that's exactly what they did here in Diesel's Ghostly Christmas. So on to the episode itself. What's it about? Well, if you haven't watched Diesel's Ghostly Christmas because you live under a rock, it's essentially a retelling of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol with Thomas characters, appropriately featuring Diesel as Scrooge. It's a classic tale really, and I'm honestly shocked it took the series this long to take a whack at it. As a kid, I envisioned a Thomas version of this story with Diesel as Scrooge, and seeing it actually come to exist is pretty surreal. The real question is though, did it hold up to expectations? Was this the best telling of this story possible? Half my heart wants to say yes because there is just so much creativity from a cinematic standpoint, as there always is. The way the camera is placed and moves within the frame is great. The CGI, as always, is used to their advantage to create really beautiful and unique shots and set pieces. The animation is flawless, the lighting is more realistic than ever, the cast they chose for the roles felt very appropriate, and the humor throughout was spot on.
There's no such thing as ghosts!
Then I must be good at pretending.
I can't tell you the last time I laughed out loud while watching a Thomas episode. When Salty's ghost appeared with the dramatic shipborne blast, I literally cracked up and appropriately felt silly right after because I, at age 22, laughed at a freaking kids show about talking what? This was definitely the most spirited Christmas episode we've gotten from the series in a long time. The wonderful music and the way the dialogue is said by the voice actors just really sells the story.
I'm as light as a feather! I'm as merry as a schoolboy! If there's anything I can do to help you, just let me know, and I'll do it!
Really? Do you honestly mean that, Diesel?
Yes, Thomas, I do mean it. I do!
And while I want to half say the special holds up to expectations, I also want to half say it's kind of a letdown. I love Thomas and Friends very much. It means a lot to me. And I look at these new episodes very critically because they are competent. I can't critically review a Sharon Miller episode because there was obviously no effort put into writing them. That's like trying to critically analyze a rock. There's no point because it's just a rock. These newer episodes are very competently written, and the writers are obviously trying their best to please an audience. So I believe the least I can do as a fan is respond with a deservingly fair critique. And that's what this video is. It's a fair critique. So where does the episode not work for me? Well, there are several points. It's very obvious to me that many things in this episode happen because the script needs them to happen. Diesel stopping just in front of the tunnel needed to happen so the illusion of Paxton's ghost could be pulled off. Had he gone any further, Paxton would have been spotted and the story couldn't continue. Or how Diesel just happens to derail just as the second act ends. It's too contrived, and from a logical standpoint, I'm left wondering if Diesel derailing was a part of Thomas's plan or if it just happened to work out. It's not very clear. It's little moments like this that take me out of the story, and maybe with just one more script rewrite before entering production, these little problems could have been addressed. Say Thomas or someone purposely planted some blocks on the tracks before the tunnel, so Diesel would have to stop there. Diesel would be freaking out about Salty's ghost and have to suddenly stop when he sees the line is blocked. And before he can think about why they're there at all, Paxton Ghost appears. Would that be too much to ask for? And maybe instead of making Diesel's crash seem like an accident, the narrator could instead actually tell us that Diesel was heading straight for the planned trap and derail. Making it seem like it was completely unbeknownst makes it contrived and unsure. I mean, hell, Thomas looks surprised when he spots Diesel derailed like it wasn't supposed to happen. But it had to have been planned, right? I mean, Thomas conveniently shows up only seconds after the derailment, and what he says to Diesel sounds like something that he may have rehearsed beforehand. I mean, come on, was the crash planned or not? And I'm not even going to mention how Diesel just works no problem after he's put back on the rails. Except I am. Because I just did. Yeah, who cares? These problems I have just come off as nitpicky. And they are. They definitely are. Because for what it is, the episode still works. The moral is there, the story unfolds like how a story should, with a first, second, and a third act, and all the characters are in character. So really, why should I be complaining about little script problems? Well, like I said, I'm looking at it from a critical standpoint. I always envision how I myself could improve a Thomas episode with simple script rewrites, and I'm merely suggesting ideas of how they could make this a really good story into a really great one. But minor plot holes and nitpicks aside, the real reason I thought this episode was a bit of a letdown is because of the way they went about retelling A Christmas Carol. The synopsis of it stated that Diesel gets a visit from some ghostly Christmas engines, and that was what excited me. The real story features actual ghosts that visit Scrooge and show him the errors of his ways.
Who and what are you?
I am the ghost of Christmas past.
And while that's basically what happened here, they weren't actual ghosts. They were just the engines pulling a prank. How much more visually exciting would it have been if actual ghost engines paid Diesel a visit in his dreams or something? Imagine a scene of Diesel asleep in the dark Diesel works. A noise awakens him as a silent cold breeze enters the room and blows some hanging chains about. Diesel starts to get antsy when suddenly a white, dismantled, rusted, slightly transparent, and completely silent ghost engine glides through the doors. The ghost takes Diesel away and shows him events from his past. They could have recreated shots from past episodes like No More Mr. Nice Engine or Disappearing Diesels and have Diesel and the ghost on set watching the scene play out from a different angle. This could have been a real opportunity for ARC to show off some great animation skills and sell the concept of a ghost, and it's kind of a shame that we didn't get to see that. But what we actually got was fine because it was done creatively. I loved seeing how they pulled off the engines as ghosts, Emily in particular, but it's just not really what I wanted or was honestly expecting from this episode. But this wouldn't be a fair review if I just sat here and complained about an episode for what it wasn't. For what it actually is, it works. I know I'm being harsh, but I can't overlook the fact that it's still a wonderful piece of storytelling, and it's presented in a very high quality, beautiful manner. It's a really great utilization of the classic baddie. And I know that this good guy persona he took on at the end won't last. I'm sure everyone does, and no one honestly wants him to be a goody-goody in the future. But for the sake of the story and what they were trying to do, it works just fine. I still regard Last Train for Christmas as the best Christmas story of modern Thomas, but Diesel's Ghostly Christmas comes in at a close second. It's spirited, it's memorable, it's funny, it has a good moral, it's a first for the series, and most important of all, there's obviously passion behind it. It's a very classic Christmas tale told with very classic characters in a new, fresh, and inventive way.